I believe that the Tesla stock is a buy right now. Tesla released its Q1 earnings after market close on April 22nd as scheduled. However, since the current time is 12:01 when this article came out, April 22nd, earnings had not been released. It opened at $230.96, reached a high of 242 and a low of 227. In the last month, stock has experienced serious fluctuations from the left violence that is, I quite honestly think that needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat podcast. My name's Stuart Turley. This is the Daily Stand-Up, and this is April 23rd. Buckle up. We got you some stories today. This is pretty exciting. How would a nuclear deal with Iran impact the global market? There's an underlying question here. Can OPEC actually enforce production limits? Is the second part of that question. Pretty big question. The EPA chief denounces media for claiming no evidence whatsoever for agency waste under Biden. I have to hand it to Zeldin in this, and I'll go into it here in a moment. Trump targets state level climate lawfare with new energy order. Way to go, President Trump. I'm again, hats off to you. Adani Ports strikes a $2.5 billion deal for Australian coal terminal. This is actually a really good deal for India. And it's really smart to go ahead and buy all the way into the supply line. That's pretty big information that India is doing there for coal. How is the Tesla stock handling the current quarter in 2025? Got an update on Tesla. And if I had the money, I would buy one just to support Tesla, but I got to choose between a Ford 350 and a Cybertruck, and a little broke at the moment. So anyway, let's get ready to rumble here. How would a nuclear deal with Iran impact the global oil markets? This has really been something I've been watching. And when you sit back and take a look at the number of people speculating out there how this is going to happen, but it could impact by potentially 1 to 2 million barrels per day returning to the market after the sanction removal. Here's where I have a little bit of a different take for investors, for the economy, and everything else. We're not sure that OPEC Plus committee has been able to actually keep production in line because their members have been overproducing. Here's the United States with the Democrats and Republicans equally aligned in printing money. If we need money, we just go print money. If Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, or any of these other countries need money, they print natural gas, they print oil by drilling, and then they sell it on the dark fleet. There's an estimated 1,200 dark fleet ships out there right now. And so if there's an Iranian deal achieved, we'll have a guarantee that they can remove their nuclear materials, and will OPEC be able to enforce a production cap to keep the price around 80 to 85? And that's where I firmly believe that Saudi Arabia needs that oil at. I want to give Josh Young a shout out. He is one of the head guys over there at Bison Interest. And I tell you, he is been on the podcast, absolutely respect him. And he's got a great quote. The lower the oil prices go and the longer they stay there, the higher prices will subsequently rise. Well said, Josh. And as you go through the rest of the article here, I added in the article here on our Substack, theenergynewsbeat.substack.com. You can go in and see that research suggests a nuclear deal would increase global supply, like I mentioned, 1 to 2 million barrels per day. OPEC might not be able to, but when you sit back and take a look at this, unless there's no guarantees that we get the nuclear material out of their hands, I think it's a bad deal. This is not going to be like President Barack Obama dropping off billions of untraceable cash to his buddies over there. That is not going to happen in this term. So let's go to the next story here. EPA chief denounces media for claiming of no evidence under energy waste under Biden. This is an outstanding article from the Daily Signal, and I put in and added to this Defiant L's post from X, and he's got an outstanding video with Lee Zeldin just absolutely reading a truth bomb to the reporters from the New York Times. They won't even stand up and admit that they've read the documents, and he is spot on. EPA chief Lee Zeldin slams the media for denying evidence of Biden's era waste, citing billions rushed to nonprofits with ties to former officials. Environmental Protection Agency confronted the Times reporter. I have a duty. This is a quote. I have a duty to make sure that we won't light on fire billions of dollars of tax dollars, Zeldin said, and I'm not going to stand before any member of the media and get bullied into lighting billions of dollars on fire. Good for you, Lee Zeldin, and I appreciate you standing up to them. I would like to give the New York Times and all of the other mainstream media a shout out right now because I don't think our podcast, the Energy News Beat and energynewsbeat.co and the Energy News Beat Substack would be doing as well as it is. We're on track for 15 million transcripts read of the podcast this year. We'll be at 2.2 to 2.5 million downloads of the podcast this year. Pretty darn cool. So I'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to the mainstream media. Let's go to the next story here. Trump targets state level climate lawfare with new energy order. New Trump executive order titled Protecting American Energy from State Overreach directs the U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi to identify all state and local laws burdening the identification, development, sitting, production, or domestic energy resources that may be unconstitutional, preempted by federal law, or otherwise unenforceable within 60 days. This is huge. And I'm going to reach out to Ronald Stein and also Mike Embro, who I'm going to be interviewing next week. They are both great energy leaders in California, and I want their opinions on this. And we'll be having a discussion on a lot of the other things going on in California. Legal regulations and monetary impediments imposed by hydrocarbon energy producers have been costly, in turn, passing these economic burdens on to consumers. All this is doing is raising energy costs to consumers. California flat out is just absolutely mind-numbingly stupid. But hey, with that, let's go to, I want to give a shout out to Steve Reese. Steve Reese and I are going to be doing another podcast, and I'm looking forward to visiting with Carr Ingram. We are going to have an excellent energy discussion. Check out our last one that just went out and the staff just put out, but go to reeseenergyconsulting.com. If you are looking to build a data center, if you're looking to try to figure out or buy or sell oil or natural gas, you need to visit with a team from Reese Energy Consulting. He is one of the leading energy minds in the United States, and I truly am very blessed to have him as a friend and a sponsor of today's show. So I'll tell you, let's go to the next story here. Adani Ports strikes a $2.5 billion deal for Australian coal terminal. This is really exciting when you sit back and take a look. Coking Coal Imports, India importing coals. This is actually a port company from India buying a port on for coal exports in Australia. And in the financial year, April 24, India imported approximately 265 million metric tons of coal, the highest volume in recent years, according to the Ministry of Coal Government of India. This includes both thermal and primarily for power generation and coking coal used for steel production. Coking coal rose 6% to 57.89 million metric tons, Thermal coal rose, where's the number there, supplied nearly 60% of the thermal coal, followed by South Africa at 14%. It's a pretty big deal. And countries are going to be following the supply line for their energy and security and buying into them. We're seeing that in the United States now. We're seeing it with Japan, Tokyo Gas buying into the Haynesville. In fact, when I was visiting with Steve Reese, he had even mentioned it wouldn't surprise him to see Microsoft starting to drill oil wells so that they could get natural gas and power plants for their AI data center. It's called protecting your supply line. I think it's actually pretty brilliant. Let's go to the last story here, and I want to hear what your thought process is on this as well. How is Tesla stock handling the current quarter in 2025? I believe that the Tesla stock is a buy right now. Tesla released its Q1 earnings after market close on April 22nd as scheduled. However, since the current time is 12:01 when this article came out, April 22nd, earnings had not been released. It opened at $230.96, reached a high of 242 and a low of 227. In the last month, stock has experienced serious fluctuations from the left violence that is, I quite honestly think that needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Key factors to influence post earnings performance, financial metrics. Investors are focused on automotive gross margins and energy sentiment segment. Tesla deployed 10.6 gigawatts of energy storage projects, which is huge. A guidance and innovation, Musk commentary of self-driving robo taxis with the affordable vehicle in mid 2025 will be critical. I'll tell you what, with the robots, the robo taxi, and the auto driving, for the auto driver, for elderly folks when they're getting along in their years and a Tesla can protect their independence, that is a huge advantage between having an auto driving and something else that is only lane assistance. That's not auto driving. After being in my father in law's brand new Tesla, and hats off to him for getting one, I think he's going to be able to keep his license for a lot further on because of the auto driving. That is technology, and that is one of the key reasons you have the robots. The Tesla is a technology company. It's not a car manufacturer, and that is the difference. So Tesla, the technology company, is a excellent buy right now. So with that, like, subscribe, share, read this to your kids, read this to your pets, and hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. Reach out and hug somebody today. Hug your mailman, hug your plumber, and just be a great person. Be epic today.